Alright, this video is going to go over a homework problem that was in assignment number 10, which is the first assignment from chapter 8. It was number 37. It was the problem about the degenerate conic section. If you remember from Algebra 2, conic sections are like ellipses, circles, parabolas, and so forth. Okay, so this is an example of a problem that if you just look at the book, you go back and through the examples that are given in the book, in the reading, which you're supposed to be doing, you will find an example just like this problem. And so all you have to do is sort of follow that example, and you'll be able to do this. So the problem says, we have this equation. It says, identify the conic section, the graph of each equation, find the angle alpha, and sketch the curve. You may wish to use a graphing calculator or a computer. So the first thing is, if we read the book, we see this information here. This equation is in this ax plus bxy plus cy and so forth form. And it says the angle that we're looking for is pi over 4 of a is equal to c. And in this case, if we look at this, a is equal to c. So the angle that we're looking for is pi over 4. That's called the angle of inclination. Now it says use a graphing calculator to find the graph it. And so if you look at the book, what they did was that they solved this equation for y. We had a homework problem early in the year where we saw something like this, and we had to solve for y. Okay, so if I do this, y squared plus xy. Let's see, plus x squared minus 1 equals 0. I just rewrote some stuff. Notice that this is a quadratic in which, in terms of y, there's a coefficient here of 1 on x squared, of x on y, and then this is the other stuff. And so we can use quadratic formula to get an equation for what y is. You can see a is equal to 1, b is equal to x, and c is equal to x squared minus 1. So if we were to solve for y here, y is equal to the opposite of b, which is negative opposite of x, plus or minus the square root of b, which is x squared, minus 4 times a, which is 1, times x squared minus 1, all over 2 times 1. Okay, that's what y is equal to. And if we simplify this, I guess, we don't really have to, we get negative 3x squared plus 1 there, and this is 2. So now, if we want to graph this will be interesting. We go into the graphing calculator, we go to y equals, and we're going to do this in 2 parts. And I guess I have to be really careful with parentheses. So the opposite of x plus the square root of negative 3x squared plus 1, all that over 2. Okay, so let's just look at that. It's very small, so I'm going to zoom in. And I see that it's that little part right there. Okay, but we have to graph the other part. And that is the same thing that we have, opposite of x, but minus the square root of negative 3x squared plus 1. Close all that stuff, divide by 2. Okay, now I'm going to graph both at the same time, and what I can see is that it is right there. It's actually an ellipse that's centered at the origin. It's kind of squished. Alright, I'll zoom in again maybe, and we'll just see. Yep, zoom in. There we go. There's the ellipse. And so this is not necessarily something that we're going to do that often, but it's an example of that if you just look in the book, you will be able to find how to do these problems. You just literally had to follow the example in the book, and it's a good skill to have, especially next year when you take BC Calculus. There will be things that you do in the class that you're supposed to be able to do that are only in the book that you won't talk about in class. Certainly that'll happen in college, and so it's a good practice. You should be reading the book and doing this. So thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you in class.